All right, so in non-Final Fantasy news, the impossible dream has happened. Marvel vs. Capcom 2 and all of its other iterations have officially been freed. So that's what we're gonna gush about in today's video. So if any of that sounds cool to you, you can hit the like button, subscribe, leave a comment, or smash the bell icon with, let's just do a standard Hadouken to that bell icon if you want to stay up to date with my videos. So yesterday morning, of all places at the Nintendo Direct, Capcom dropped a massive bomb on all fighting game fans by announcing the Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection Arcade Classics, which is going to include a number of games that people love, but also games that were locked to previous systems that we can no longer access and have online play and quality of life improvements. That includes X-Men Children of the Atom, which I remember playing on PlayStation back in the day, which I think might be like one of the worst versions of that game, if I remember correctly. Marvel Superheroes, Marvel vs. Capcom Clash of Superheroes, the first one, which is my personal favorite. Marvel vs. Capcom 2, New Age of Heroes, which is the one that got this whole ball rolling. Marvel Superheroes vs. Street Fighter, absolute classic. X-Men vs. Street Fighter, and of course the arcade classic, The Punisher. And again, this is massive. So this is going to be releasing on a number of systems, including the PlayStation 4, not PS5, but the PS5 is backwards compatible, so there's no issue there, Nintendo Switch, and the PC. Now, mysteriously absent is the Xbox series of consoles, Series X and Series S. As of right now, there's no solid answer as to why they aren't on Xbox, but some of the rumors going around are being reported by Windows Central saying that the MT framework that these games run on just might not have a way to get ported over and work properly onto the Xbox, which is probably the biggest reason why they aren't showing up on the Xbox. Another rumor that's flying around is that maybe Capcom just isn't sure that the game will sell well on an Xbox, so they're just not even going to bother putting it on that platform. I would probably lean more towards the first one. They're just struggling to find a way to get it to work. I think Microsoft might have to step in and assist them if they really do care enough about it, and enough Xbox users make enough noise, that might happen. Again, with the quality of life stuff, it's going to have a rollback netcode, which is a blessing. There's going to be one-button specials, a gallery museum thing, a jukebox. If you've played the previous Capcom Fighting Collection, it's going to be very similar to that in terms of its features. So lots of great artwork, incredible music. I think they might have music made specifically for this game too, if I'm not mistaken. There is going to be display filters. They're going to give you the ability to reduce all of the crazy flashing that pops up on the screen, which is really nice. When I was younger and I played these games, I could handle that. And as an adult, it's kind of like, please, for the love of God, reduce the flashing just a little bit. So that's a nice option. You're going to have all these great lobbies and be able to set things up. I think it's up to 9 players, if I'm not mistaken. Now, unfortunately, there will not be any crossplay, which is a bummer. It'd be nice to be able to play on PS4 and battle people on a Switch or a PC. A lot of the info going around right now is that Nintendo might be to blame for this. Maybe their network infrastructure just can't handle crossplay. It might even have to do with like some rating stuff here and there. Nintendo is really weird when it comes to their online stuff, unfortunately. But there was so much demand for this game that I think whether you play it on a PC, a PS4, or a Switch, there's probably going to be a ton of people playing. With the Switch probably having the biggest player base, let's be honest. It's just the easiest console to play on. You can play it on the go. You can play it at home, so I think most people will probably want to stick to the Switch version. I myself will be getting it on PS4, and it will cost $50, which is a lot, but these games are classics. And if you want to get just like Marvel vs. Capcom 2 on the PlayStation 2, which is like the worst version of that game, it's going to run you more than $100. I think it's like $130, $140 online. So $50 for all of these classics is insane. Now, there are some intricacies when it comes to the different versions of these, which people like Maximilian Dude, I think, have really dived into, just figuring out, like, obviously there's the English and Japanese versions, but they're using different versions of the games, different ROMs. I think one of them might even be like a Sega Saturn version, so some will have certain patches in them, certain restrictions. You'd have to go to, like a Maximilian Dude or a Justin Wong to really dive into the intricacies of that, but I'm sure more info will come out as we actually get our hands on it. And as of right now, there is no release date, but people are crossing their fingers that maybe at EVO, they could either announce the release date or, stick with me here, shadow dropped the game. Everything just seems like it's ready to go and packaged. They're going to be the digital versions. You can buy the physical as well. So hopefully at EVO they might, drop this game on us and be like, hey, not only are you guys free to leave EVO, but you can go buy this game right now. And all in all, this is just massive news. Now, I think the person that deserves the most credit here is Maximilian Dude. He's a very humble individual, so he's not going to take credit for this, but without him getting this ball rolling back in 2021 with the free MVC2 hashtag, who knows where we would be right now? Because he actually got the community together and started this hashtag and got people involved, other massive people within the FGC and other fans were able to take that ball and just kind of run with it. You had people making signs and going to AEW shows and getting on camera with their signs, free MVC2. People like Michael B. Jordan, a celebrity who played Marvel vs. Capcom back in the day, was even talking about like, hey, when are we going to get MVC2? Even people I'm not that familiar with, like Pokimane, who I don't even know if she's like a massive gamer or not, was talking about Marvel vs. Capcom 2. So this thing was everywhere. And that, again, got to give credit where credit is due. That's Maximilian Dude. He got that ball rolling and he's just so passionate about it. And he realized that if these games are going to live on or get some sort of updates or sequels, it's got to come from the fans. They're the ones that have to raise a stink about it and get this to the ears of Capcom and Marvel, essentially. And this should not have happened. Everyone thought this was never, ever going to happen after Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite release. That game just, unfortunately, as good as it is, was not well received and it just didn't sell all that well. And ever since then, the relationship between Capcom and not necessarily Disney, but Marvel, because Marvel games are kind of like their own thing, was incredibly strained, if not just non-existent. And everyone thought the dream was dead. No more MVC, no more MVC2 coming back, maybe no MVC4. And then this happens. And it's just one long journey to get to this point, and now it's going to be available, which is super awesome, which hopefully if this does well enough, that signals to Marvel and Capcom, hey, there is a really big hunger for these games, and maybe in the future, somewhere down the line, we can get a Marvel vs. Capcom 4, a true official sequel that includes the X-Men in their roster. And I'm just super excited to play these games again. I grew up playing these games, not in the arcades, because in my area where we live, we didn't have arcades. The closest thing we had to an arcade was this really gross place. I won't name the place, but they had some arcade cabinets like Silent Scope and Zombie Revenge. Some of those kind of classics, but the place itself was not the best place to go to. It smelled funny. They gave kids pizza, so if you went and touched a machine, it was just super greasy and disgusting. So we didn't really have access to this stuff in my area. So me and my childhood friend, we would play online. I would use MAME and we'd get on Calera and we would just play every day after school. We'd play Marvel vs. Capcom. That was the one we played the most. We didn't even play MVC2 the most. We played the first one the most. We'd play like Street Fighter Alpha 3 and we'd do dramatic battles. We'd play all of these different games. And during the summer when we didn't have school, all bets were off. We'd be online until like 12, 1 in the morning just playing these games. And I grew up playing these games on a keyboard. That's how I learned to play them. So that's kind of where my muscle memory is. But to be able to just revisit these games again and have them be free is awesome. Because other than, MAME or things like Fightcade, or if you found a way to burn games to a Dreamcast, which I may or may not have done back in the day for MVC2, you couldn't play these games otherwise. But to know that these games are now coming back, and I think they're going to do really well. I think a lot of people are going to buy this collection. Just the reception all around from people has been insane. Everyone releasing their reaction videos, just being super hyped. It's just such a great day to be a Capcom fan, to have these games come back and know that there's now a big spark of hope that in the future, a true successor, Marvel vs. Capcom 4, is now possible. And you look at what's happening too with Capcom and SNK. They're mending their relationship, which people didn't think was going to happen either. So maybe we could get some sort of CVS collection as well. I think it was a year ago, maybe the year prior. I know that the inklings of SNK and Capcom repairing their relationship started with EVO. They released these really awesome EVO posters with Capcom and SNK characters on them, just welcoming people to EVO. And flash forward a couple years later, we've now got Terry and Mai showing up in the Season 2 DLC pack for Street Fighter 6. So relationships are being mended. It's just a really awesome, beautiful thing, and I'm so excited to play this. I'm also excited to check out the project that Maximilian Dude and the modders are working on with MVCI and Beyond, which looks super sick. Some cool quality of life adjustments. I think they're making gameplay adjustments as well, but a lot of it is visual, giving that game a genuine art style. Because that was an issue a lot of people had with that game, is it just kind of looked like butt. There wasn't really a cohesive art style. And now with Max and his team of modders, they're fixing that, and it looks pretty sick. So with that being said, that is the video. I know it's not Final Fantasy or Resident Evil, but I love fighting games. So this is something that's really close to my heart as well. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Are you excited for this collection? Will you be picking it up? If so, what is your favorite game out of this collection? I will see you guys in the next video. Please remember to always be excellent to one another.